Hey, folks, welcome to Market Intraday Analysis by InTheMoneyStocks.com, your leaders in pure technical analysis, avoiding all that Wall Street hype. This video for Tuesday, October 25th, 2011 is sponsored by Realtik. All right, let's get right into it today. Markets are lower across the board. Dow Jones Industrial Average down 137 points, NASDAQ is down 49, and the S&P 500 down about 18 points on the day. That's basically 1 to 2% across the board. The NASDAQ leads to the downside today. You have stocks like Amazon before earnings today down about 4% in anticipation of maybe earnings that do not meet expectations. We're seeing a lot of this in the market, folks. Netflix yesterday after the close getting crushed on earnings. Take a look at the chart on Netflix NFLX. Look at this thing, down $41.50 today. Absolutely crushed. If we go to the daily chart, just take a look at the drop this thing has seen over the past few months. From a high of $300, now $77 on the stock. And again, this is an absolute demolishment here of the stock as it gets killed on earnings that do not meet expectations. In addition, take a look at CMI, Cummins, down quite sharply on earnings. If we go to the intraday chart, you can see it a little bit better. Off the lows, but again, down $5.40. 3M, another disappointment here on earnings, down $5 and change itself on earnings that do not meet expectations. So again, we have the earnings side, folks. Earnings not doing very well for the market. That's one factor on why we are down today. The other factor would be, as I flip back to the SPY intraday, which mirrors the S&P 500, the other factor is clearly economic news. Consumer confidence today coming in at 39.6. That's the worst number of consumer confidence since March 2009, which, by the way, is when the market was at the lows. Back in March 2009, market was at the lows. Consumer confidence is the same as it was then. That's scary right there. Lastly, there was a cancellation of a preliminary meeting for the European Summit, and that freaked markets out a little bit. That's probably the biggest factor of why we are down today, because that cancellation makes people think, makes the markets think that maybe there is not an agreement for a major bailout and recapitalization of the banks on the table. It may take longer, maybe it won't get done, and that's causing the markets, again, after most of the big recent gains, to see some selling. And if we go to the daily chart, you can really see the massive move up. In fact, we're off the lows on the SPY from about 3 weeks ago today from a low of 107.50. The high yesterday was at 125.75 or so, and that essentially is a 15 to 16% move off the lows in 3 weeks. So to see a pullback today, again, I guess is not super shocking, but ultimately we are seeing a little bit of fear out there creeping in. Now, there are some other stocks in motion today that I want to mention, but before we do that, let's take a look at the intraday SPY. Again, the SPY initially opening on a small gap down. We opened right on the 50 moving average, and then right as the market opened, that's when we got the news about the cancellation in the European Summit, the preliminary meeting. Just the preliminary meeting. It wasn't the main summit tomorrow. That's still supposed to go off tomorrow on Wednesday. But nonetheless, you can see the drop on the spiders. It took the spiders down from about 125 all the way to a low of 123.30 or so down here. Now, I actually entered a trade to the long side on the intraday stock jet, which, by the way, you can take a free trial of right here at 123.40 because it was a pierce of this major red line. And I made a lot of money. I made 25 cents on the first half and 50 cents per share on the second half in matter of seconds. Literally, probably about 60 seconds to 120 seconds, I banged out a nice chunk of change to start the day, as did members in the intraday stock chat. And again, folks, if you want to get involved in swing trading, if you want swing trade alerts, if you want the elite guidance that's out, surpasses the institutions, that's where you take the 7-day free trial to the research center and the 7-day free trial to the intraday stock chat. Get on board, start making money on every swing in the market. Doesn't matter if the markets are going up or down, there's generally a trade we can take and we'll profit off of it, assuming we utilize the methodology here at InTheMoneyStocks.com. All right, so again, that big drop right there, then we got a big bounce. Markets floated all the way back up to the point where they were only down slightly, then came back in, then went back up, then came back in, and right now we're hovering just off the lows of the day here. Again, the 123.50 is going to be pretty significant support down here if we get there. Volume is pretty light. We had a lot of volume early in the day on that news, and again, the consumer confidence number actually came out at 10 o'clock as well. But you can see the volume candles there. But since then, look at the volume. It's really disintegrated. Now, the question is, towards the end of today, will we see a pickup in volume? Will we see new lows? Will we see continued selling? Or will we see some sort of buy program come in on optimism about the summit tomorrow in Europe? And again, that summit is the key here. I know it seems like earnings and some of the economic news was very bearish. But still, it's all about Europe. Those are just secondary factors. All right, you can see today we had the earnings out this morning and the market only had a small gap down. It wasn't until the announcement that that preliminary summit meeting had been canceled that you had the big drop, which put in the low of the day. Then we had consumer confidence at 10 right here, which dropped the markets a little bit, but very minimally considering the low was never taken out. So again, the low pivot of the day comes off the European news. Everything else is just secondary, and we'll continue to watch it very, very closely, obviously, and call out trades to our members here at the Research Center and at the Intraday Stock Chat during the afternoon session. All right, what else do we want to discuss here? Let's take a look at First Solar. This is a big mover today, guys. First Solar getting crushed. Look at this. This stock had a great day yesterday, up almost 10%, and then today the CEO left. All right, an interim CEO was named, and sure enough, the stock not liking that news. I can't blame them for not liking that. Company specific here, as again, people worry maybe there's bad news to come. Maybe earnings are going to be poor. What's going on here? We have to see, and ultimately, look at that drop. It's had a big bounce off the lows, but still, you can't like that massive drop there, all the way down to a low of 45 bucks today. Now it's back to 47. In any case, if you take a look at the daily chart, you had a little bit of support here, and going back on the daily chart, you actually have to go all the way back to this level for a gap window, and I think this is probably where it's headed at this point, which is around $40. $40 gap window, and then ultimately down to about $34 to gap fill. That could be where this thing is headed. Amazing to look back, even just this year. Just this year, First Solar was trading over $175 per share, now trading at $47. That drop is an immense drop. All right, so that's another stock in motion. Now let's take a look at Amazon, which reports earnings after the bell today, folks. Amazon's down $10. One thing that's interesting to note here is Amazon is below the 20 moving average on the daily chart. Beautiful in spirit of bear flag right here. See this drop? And then the three inside bars connecting with the down move today. That's a classic in spirit of bear flag, and again can tell the future in terms of a drop, and we did see it there coming to the downside. So we'll see what earnings are today. That should either help or hurt technology tomorrow. It's probably the one major earnings announcement after the bell today that you want to focus on. Tomorrow we have a couple more earnings announcements, but I still think Amazon's the main one for tech at least. All right. Scanning through my watch list, Google's down about 12, Baidu's down 5, Chevron's down about $1. Exxon not really getting hurt today. If we take a look at the USO, I think this is interesting to take a look at. The USO is up 57 cents, and you might say, well, how come oil's up and the markets are down? Usually oil goes down, the markets are down as well. And the answer to that is simple. Essentially what you have is you have some unrest in the Middle East popping up in Saudi Arabia. In addition, you have this possible hurricane entering the Gulf of Mexico, and that's keeping oil prices up right now. Now, should that kind of subside, oil should fall very drastically, but if it doesn't subside, you could see oil continue higher. All right, oil short term, if you go to your daily chart of the USO, is very, very extended. If you get another pop, the 200 moving average is probably where it's headed, which again is at the 3765-ish area, 3760 area, right in that vicinity. All right, so we'll continue to watch and see how that plays out. Very, very interesting market going on right now. Let's go back to the SPY and just kind of keep track here. The SPY down about $1.80 on the day, right just off the lows of the day. You can see, again, this tail down here is where the lows were, and we're just off of those lows a little bit. Volume, again, 186 million. That's actually as much volume as we did yesterday, which shows you how on the up day yesterday we had such light volume. Today is not a heavy, heavy volume day, but it should be better. We should do around 300 million, my guess, maybe 275, which is much more than the normal range for recently. All right. Let me just scan through my watch list, see if there's anything else on tap here. Intel's positive, Cisco and Dell are positive. Those three stocks are really the only green on my screen for the most part of large caps that I follow. And again, as I scan through the list, I'm seeing AK Steel getting smacked today, down 12 to 13%. US Steel also down big today, down over $2 or 8%. All right, one more time, guys. 7-day free trial. InTheMoneyStocks.com. Join the Research Center, join the Intraday Stock Chat. You can join either one. If you're a swing trader, it's more geared towards the Research Center. Day traders, obviously, more geared towards the Intraday Stock Chat. Come join us here. Learn to be independent. Learn to step above the institutions and make money even when the institutions aren't able to make money. Learn the proprietary signals that have put everyone here at In the Money Stocks above everyone else. Become the 1% elite right here at In the Money Stocks. Take care, folks.